It started with a ticket, a one-way flight. Northwest Orient Airlines, Flight 305 from Portland to Seattle. A quiet, well-dressed man in a dark suit, black tie, and sunglasses boarded the plane. He gave the name Dan Cooper. What no one knew was that, in a few hours, he would become a ghost. One of the greatest unsolved mysteries in U.S. history. I got the call around 4 p.m. on November 24th, 1971. A hijacking. It wasn't my first, but something about this one felt different. There was no shouting, no drawn weapons, no panicked passengers. Just a single note, handed to a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner. She barely glanced at it at first, until the man in the dark suit leaned in and whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." She looked. Inside his briefcase, neatly arranged, were wires and red cylinders. This wasn't just a threat. It was real. Cooper was calm. Too calm. He didn't rant or rave. He didn't scream demands. Instead, he gave his terms in a smooth, steady voice. $200,000 in cash, delivered on landing in Seattle. 4 parachutes, 2 primary, 2 reserve. A fuel truck ready to refuel the plane for a trip to Mexico City. No passengers were to be harmed. The airline executives didn't hesitate. The money was gathered, marked with serial numbers. The parachutes were loaded. And at 5:39 p.m., Flight 305 landed at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Cooper let the passengers go, but he kept the flight crew, and the plane wasn't done flying. With only the pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, and 1 flight attendant left on board, Cooper gave new instructions. They would fly to Mexico City. They would travel at 10,000 feet, low enough for a safe jump. They would fly slow and steady, no faster than 200 miles per hour. Then, at 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 took off again. Somewhere over the thick forests of Washington and Oregon, near the Lewis River, Cooper did the unthinkable. He opened the rear stairway, and he jumped. The moment we got the report, I was on site. By dawn, the search was in full swing. Military planes, helicopters, FBI agents, local police. But there was no sign of Cooper, no body, no parachute, no money. He had disappeared into the night. We gathered what little we could, a black clip-on tie left behind on the seat, 8 cigarette butts, but DNA technology wasn't advanced enough yet. The ransom money, marked and recorded, but never spent. Nothing else. The pilot and crew gave their descriptions. White male, mid-40s, 5'10" to 6'0", dark suit, black tie, sunglasses, calm, polite, professional. This wasn't a man acting on impulse. This was a man who knew exactly what he was doing. Over the years, we chased down every possible suspect. Some believed Cooper died in the jump, lost in the thick forests of the Pacific Northwest. Others were sure he survived. Then, in 1980, we got a break. A young boy named Brian Ingram was digging in the sand near the Columbia River. He found something shocking. $5,800 in cash, buried in the dirt. The serial numbers matched the ransom money. But Cooper's body, nowhere to be found. Some believed Cooper was an experienced parachutist, possibly military trained. Others argued he was reckless and likely died from the fall. A few names stood out over the years. Richard Floyd McCoy, a Vietnam veteran who pulled off a nearly identical hijacking in 1972. But the evidence was weak. Kenneth Christensen, a former Northwest Airlines employee with a suspicious history, but no solid proof. Robert Rackstraw, a former pilot and ex-convict, but he denied involvement until his death. Despite decades of leads, interviews, and manhunts, we never found him. Even today, the name D.B. Cooper is legend. A man who walked into a plane, hijacked it without harming a soul, and vanished without a trace. Was he a criminal mastermind, or did he die, lost to the wilderness, his bones hidden beneath decades of fallen leaves? The truth is, we may never know.